Welcome to the Spark by Hollywood podcast. I am your host, Devora Goldberg. In this podcast, I guide my listeners through a deeper look into the parallel paradigm of Hollywood versus Jewish ideas, love, relationships, and empowerment, and uncover which one is truly attainable and sustainable for us as Jews to achieve. Thank you for joining. Welcome to today's episode. I'm super excited about today's topic as we delve even deeper into the Hollywood paradigm of love and relationships in the celebrity bedrooms. So Baz Luhrmann and his wife, Catherine Martin, are both well known in the film world. Martin is known in the film industry and has worked alongside her husband on many of his best known films. In one interview, they opened up to the Daily Mail, and here's what it said. After spending so much time working and living together, we can hardly say, says the Daily Mail, that we're surprised to learn that this celebrity couple sleeps in separate beds. And they actually opened up about their unique arrangement. So this is what they said. We worked it out a long time ago that we both need our own space. Apparently, this couple were together 24/7. Like I said, they worked together in films, and eventually they got into bad habits of poor communication. Things would become fraught, Luhrmann added. So, for the sake of their marriage, the couple decided to take to their own floors in both their New York and Sydney homes. However, on Saturday nights, Luhrmann and Martin always had a date, followed by a night in the hotel together. So the article ends off telling us what a wonderful, well-balanced schedule this couple had. No wonder, it said, that this couple is still going strong today. So that's a win. That's a win from the Daily Mail. That's a win for this couple and shouting their praises. What's the message over here? What worked for this couple that can actually work for so many others as well? The idea of space in marriage. When we require personal space, when we create that space, then there's a greater appreciation for one another, both within intimacy and communication, as well as understanding of one another. One of the most famous celebrity couples who like to sleep in separate beds every night was actress Helena Bonham Carter and her ex-partner, Tim Burton. So although the pair split in 2014, according to Red Magazine, before that, they were best known for their highly stylized, bizarre work. So the tabloid magazines portray them as, this is also something super bizarre. I mean, we're not surprised that following everything else that they do, they also sleep in separate beds. Super, super unusual, says the magazines. So here we have tabloid magazines shouting the praises of a celebrity couple, and on the other hand, pointing out that it's unusual, that it's bizarre. Well, what is unusual over here? Stating the need for personal space and honoring that need? Let's honor that moment that people create for themselves instead of mocking them. Perhaps let's use this couple as an example of what a successful and honest relationship could look like. Another celebrity couple we have is, we know that Gwyneth Paltrow, definitely a trendsetter. She married TV producer Brad Falchuk in 2018. And she also decided to hop aboard the solo sleeping trend. In fact, as Paltrow revealed to the Sunday Times, the couple didn't actually move in together right away. Instead, Falchuk actually kept his old home and spent 3 nights a week over there by himself. Apparently, Paltrow's intimacy coach had to approve the setup because it was going to help the couple keep things fresh, as she said. And as it turns out, Paltrow couldn't have been happier with her part-time privacy. And what does she add? Oh yeah, and my married friends say that the way that we live sounds ideal and we shouldn't change a thing. However, Paltrow did tell the night host Jimmy Fallon in October 2019 that she and Falchuk had actually moved in together eventually. So no word in the article mentioned if they are still in separate beds or if they've moved into the same bed, which actually doesn't really interest me. It's not my business, it's theirs. But the idea that we have a couple that honored this moment of separateness that they required, this moment of space, and they saw that it created this longing for each other, and the fact that it kept them together shows that it works. Again, we got different examples here. Celebrity couples maintaining their space, their physical space within the marriage, finding time within the month where they feel they need to retract into their own space, each of them honoring it, and obviously coming back together in sexual intimacy when they were ready, and feeling excited for that moment when it happened. As it turns out, Queen Elizabeth II and her late husband, Prince Philip, well, they're both late at this moment, late Queen Elizabeth and late Prince Philip, were another celebrity couple who preferred to sleep in their own separate royal bedchambers. According to the 2012 biography, Elizabeth the Queen, The Life of the Modern Monarch, this setup is actually incredibly common among the British aristocracy. Lady Pamela Hicks, Prince Philip's cousin, explained, in England, the upper class always have had separate bedrooms. It seems that it would actually be more surprising if the couple had slept together every night. Lady Pamela later added that sometimes Queen Elizabeth and her husband probably like to cuddle up like any married couple. When you're feeling cozy and you share your room sometimes, she continued, it's lovely to be able to choose when and where. But we have to admit that having the luxury to decide when you want to share your sleeping space sounds pretty pleasant. Back in about 2012, Oprah ran a series interviewing different Jewish Hasidic families in Brooklyn. Now, one of these families that she interviewed was the Ginsburg family, a very large family. Maybe they have about 12 kids. And her camera crew came into their home and interviewed them, showing her audience what a Hasidic lifestyle looks like in the modern world. So the series starts off with Oprah breaking bread with the family, sitting down to a really nice meal, and Oprah conversing with the parents and the children alike. And then the cameras show Oprah taking a tour of their home. As they walk down the narrow hallway, they end up at the master bedroom. Yet when you peek inside, it didn't really depict a typical master bedroom because there were 2 single beds side by side with a crib against the wall for the baby. So a very modest looking bedroom, nothing over the top screaming, this is the master bedroom. This is where intimacy takes place. And Oprah looks at the rabbi and Rebbitzin and says, 2 beds in the master bedroom? 2 beds? Why? And the rabbi and Rebbitzin explained that Judaism guides a Jewish couple how to live their lives in the role of being married to one another. See, as Jews, we were given 613 mitzvot. Some people call it commandments. But if you think of the word command, it's pretty harsh. You're commanded to do something. we're actually taught that when we fulfill these commandments, the word mitzvah comes from the word tzavta, chibur, connection. So when we fulfill these commandments of God, we're actually creating a connection between us and God. Now, some of these 613 mitzvot actually pertain to the life of a Jewish couple. So here's the background. God created us as sexual human beings. We were created to be attracted to one another, to get married, and to connect on a sexually intimate level. And God, in his infinite wisdom, created a general rule for his world and for human nature. That is, too much of one thing is never good. Too much of one thing that you hold dear, that you love so much, it just won't last. That goodness will not continue. That spark and excitement will dwindle. That flame will be reduced. And perhaps the excitement may be gone. Whether we're talking about a piece of chocolate, your favorite whiskey, a new dress that you bought, or even your spouse, everything exciting can become dull over time. But God created the idea of marriage. He was the matchmaker. He created the very first couple, Adam and Eve. So he's got to have an idea how to make it last, how to make it work. So what did he do? He essentially gave us an outline for what I call love in a champagne bottle. You want to create the everlasting love between the couple? Well, says God, well, says Judaism, here's how to do it. Incorporate space within the marriage, physical and intimate space from one another. God essentially has us in this exercise of pulling back on the elastic band all the time. Eventually, the elastic band, we let go of that elastic band and we do come closer to one another, but we have this constant pull. So how do we determine when that pull happens, when that pull begins, and when that pull lets go and we are reunited with our spouses physically, intimately, sexually? So Judaism says, here's the recipe. When the woman menstruates, that's the time to take a break from sexual intimacy. Take a break. Make space for each other. Now, of course, it's easier said than done. I mean, you're telling me, okay, at this time of the month, when I'm menstruating, I'm not going to be sexually active with my husband. But we're still going to get in the same bed at night, and we still have to practice that same restraint, yet in very close proximity, in very close quarters with one another. Can you make it a little easier for me? Can you give me some more guidelines to show me how this can actually work? Absolutely, says Judaism. Now, this isn't black and white, but this is how the rabbis have created more guidelines for us to make this work. They said, introduce 2 beds in the bedroom. Make sure the beds are there. So when you have that time of month that you require to have that separateness, that personal space that every single person yearns for, it's right there. No need to run to the couch. No need to run to a separate bedroom. No need to run to your separate royal quarters. Judaism says, let's implement this within the bedroom at the get-go. Make sure it's part of the layout. Now, does it have to be a twin-size bed? No, it can be full-size, queen-size, king-size. It can be as large as you want. Spread out like a starfish. Feel like you've got your own space and you're not limited to constantly being together with one person and feeling the need to be there. And God forbid, if you feel like you need your own space, that means you got to go to a separate bedroom. No, says Judaism. This is beautiful to have your own space. This is beautiful to create this dynamic in your marriage. Let's make sure it's done right. So when we look at Hollywood fans and we look at what they look up to at celebrities, yes, we can take examples from celebrities. We can take examples from couples that make this work. But as Jews, we have an added benefit of looking into our Torah, looking into our guidebook and seeing how this specific relationship within marriage can work, has worked, and does work over and over again. So back to love in a champagne bottle. What is happening over here? Every single month, when you give each other your space and you take that space for yourself, that moment that you know consciously that you have to pull back and take a break, our bodies want that intimacy. They want that cuddle. They want that connection. But we restrain. We exercise that muscle of restraint, which we all do every day on so many different levels. When we press on our brake at the red light, at the stop sign, you are practicing restraint. We can easily run through, but we know we don't do that. The same thing in the framework of marriage. When we know that this is happening, this is the time of month, and this is the action we're taking. This is how we're behaving and acting towards each other. You respect it. You create that restraint, but you also honor it. And when you honor it, however hard it is emotionally, because you do want to be together, you start counting down. So when the woman menstruates, the Torah says for a minimal of 5 days and following 7 clean days afterwards. And we call them 7 clean days is because it's the 7 days where we know for sure that there's no more menstruation flowing. For those minimal of 12 days a month, we are counting down, literally 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. And as we're counting down, we are at the same time pulling back at that elastic band of connection, and yet knowing that it's soon going to be released. And at the same time, you garnish feelings for each other. You still have that love, but you're not expressing it on a physical level, on a sexual level. So what happens is you keep it inside. What do we say? What's the famous saying? Don't keep things bottled up inside. Well, this is exactly what we're doing here. We're bottling up the love and expressing it to no one else. No one else, because we have a commitment to our spouse. We share it with no one else. And because it's reserved, this love is reserved for one person and one person only. When your countdown is over, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, when that 1 happens and your excitement is over the moon because you both have not physically touched and not been sexually active for 12 days, you are just so excited to uncork that champagne bottle and express that love in excitement and renewed love every single month. Every single month. So yes, we can learn this virtue from celebrities whom we admire so much. Or as Jews, we can turn to the Torah for direction and realize that it's God's divine will. Not only is this a way for us to have success in our marriages, but it's also a way for us to connect to God at the same time. And we're taught that when the Jewish couple lives their lives this way, it says, we're taught the words, Shechina shruya beinehem, which means God resides amongst them. They literally bring God into their lives. They bring God and spirituality into their relationship, into their home, into their marriage, amongst husband and wife and into their families. And when they feel that God is amongst them, that God resides in their home, they are showered with spiritual and material blessings. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. If you are loving the Spark by Hollywood podcast, kindly leave me a 5-star review on the platform that you're listening on. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Sparked by Hollywood. That's where the conversations happen. That's where I give you extra content on all my episodes and where you can send me your feedback, your comments, and questions. And finally, in a world where we are all enamored by the spark of Hollywood and its celebrities, always remember your own spark that you carry within you that makes you the gift that the world needs to shine that much brighter. I'll catch you in the next episode.